Hey guys! So today I'm going to do my January wrap up and my February to be read. I haven't really done a wrap up video before, so we'll see how this goes. So for 2014, I originally had my goal set to read 100 books. I was happy with that number and I thought that would be a good goal for me. And seeing as I exceeded that goal by about 40 books, give or take, since I exceeded that goal about 40 books, I thought that would be a good number to go with for 2014. But then, after I set that goal and I posted it on Facebook, my mom was like, that's not really a challenge for you. If you really wanted to go for a challenge, you should do 200 books this year. And I was like, oh, challenge accepted. 'Cause you know me. Well, if you don't know me, then I cannot resist the challenge. So I was like, yep, challenge accepted. So it is January 31st right now, and so far I have read 15 books this month. Some of those are manga. I don't have all the books with me, as most of them were library books, because I tend to go to the library quite often, and it's just easier for me to go to the library and get books than to go out and buy them. That way I'm not hoarding so many books, but I can read a lot. So the first book I read this year was Cruel by Jennifer Alban, and what really caught my eye with this book was the cover and just how mysterious and unique it seemed. And then I read it, and it has a good plot idea, but it wasn't written well. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't. The first series I decided to tackle in 2014 was the Gallagher Academy series by Ali Carter. And I picked up the first 4 books from the library. Pretty much read them all right in a row, and I loved them. They're so fun and lighthearted. They're about a girl named Cammie, and she goes to the Gallagher Academy. It looks like a normal girls' preparatory school from the outside, but on the inside you learn that it's actually a school for spies. And just about every single girl that graduates from that school becomes part of the FBI, becomes an agent or something like that, and it's really cool. One of the other books I read in the very first week of this year was The Chaos of Stars by Kirsten Gier. I had heard it wasn't one of her best books, but that it was okay, so I decided to check it out from the library. I had a lot of problems with this book. First of all, the main character was so whiny. All she cared about was rebelling against her mom, basically. And the Egyptian mythology weren't really, they didn't correspond with the story. We get a little excerpt from, basic, Egyptian mythology history, and it would be from the main character and how she saw it, but the thing is, it wouldn't be relevant to that chapter. And a lot of the descriptions, this main character and things. So when, say, she'd enter a new place for the first time, it would be, oh, I would change this, and that, and this. Oh, and the walls need to be this color, and I would get a new couch, and it's just like, whoa. Just tell me what the room looks like, please. And it was a little book, just over 200 pages, and it took me 2 days to get through. I'm pretty sure I gave 2 stars, maybe even 1. I did not enjoy it. Another book that I read was Sweethearts by Sarah Zarr, and I absolutely love Sarah Zarr's writing. I find it quite extraordinary that she can go from so many different perspectives. She writes standalones, which often with authors who write standalones, their main characters sound a lot like each other, but with Sarah Zarr's writing style, none of her main characters sound the same. The Lucy variations, the Sweethearts, just the stories are completely different, the characters are completely different, they're different ages, and they sound completely different. And the writing is still good, you can still see Sarah Zarr in there. It's just the main protagonists, they don't sound the same. And it's a really hard thing to do, I think. So, she's an amazing author. I loved that book. It was quite sad in some points, but with the premise, it kind of had to be. Another thing I read while just in the library, actually, was the first volume of the Maximum Ride graphic novel. It was cute. I didn't imagine Fang to be a sensei with his long hair, but it was good. And then this month, I decided that I would pick up the Sailor Moon manga by an author's name that I cannot pronounce, so we're just going to say it's Sailor Moon. And these are editions 5 and 6, so you can see. I have yet to read these, I've read 1 through 4 this month, and I love it. I just love the fact that she's 14, and I love the romance, and the cats are all adorable, and just, I love this series. And I also really love in these certain editions is that the very first pages of all of them are in color. So this is the 6th one, so I hope I don't spoil anything. But like that. And like even the first page or so of the actual manga will be like the shiny paper, even though it's in black and white still. So I don't know if I will finish it because I have absolutely no idea how many books are in this series, but I do love it a lot. Another book that I just recently finished is the 4th book in the Last Apprentice series, Attack of the Fiend. And I know this cover is quite startling. I was like, whoa, okay, that's not a nice cover. And then the back isn't much better either. Yes. Note it says, don't read it after dark. Ironically, that's pretty much the only time I ever did read it. But I really like this series. I mean, not a lot of people know about it. It's just this book was really good. It was solid. It revealed a lot about the characters, and I'm excited for this series. Things that went down in this book were a complete shock, and I loved it. So previously, last year, I had tried to read Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. It's the 3rd book in the Infernal Devices series, and I had enjoyed the first 2 books. They weren't amazing. I don't know, they weren't my favorite, but they were good. So I got the book from the library after being on hold for like 2 months, and I just couldn't bring myself to read it. I had it in my possession for 9 weeks, and I never read it because I renewed it as much as you possibly could because I just let it sit there. And finally, I just took it back without reading it. So I have, through this month, been on the adventure of listening to the audiobook. Ooh, can you hear it? Audiobook, Clockwork Princess. It is 13 CDs long, and I actually just finished the 5th one today. The narrator's voice is really good. I don't really know how to talk about audiobooks because I've never really reviewed one before or tried to talk about one before, but I love the narrator for this. Yes, I am so descriptive today. I don't know what it is, but I love the fact that it's on CD and I can just stick it in, say I'm not in the mood for reading, which I haven't been for the past few days, even though I've been making myself read. Say I'm not in the mood for reading, I can just stick one of these CDs in and listen to it, and I don't have to sit there and try and sound out the names and make sense of the battles, because Cassandra Clare's battles can get really confusing really fast. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I haven't really been fangirling as much. It's more of, this is what's happening, oh, I feel bad for them, let's move on. I definitely plan on trying to finish this because I've tried to listen to audiobooks before and they'll be so long that I'm just eh. So hopefully I can get through it in February, and that will be a very huge thing off of my TBR list. So other books that I would just like to mention that I read would be Impossible by Nancy Werland. It was a standalone, and it was based on Scarborough Fair, which is an Irish/Scottish folk song, and it was pretty good. It got a bit slow at times, but I enjoyed it. And I think the biggest read that I had this month was Tiger's Destiny by Colleen Hoke. That book took me forever to finish because it was so long, it was so detailed, I wanted to take it a section at a time, but I enjoyed it so much. So those are the books that I read in January, and right now I'm going to save the books that I will definitely read in February, and then mention some things that I might possibly. As a quick side note, yesterday actually, I picked up Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews, and I read about the first 60 pages. It wasn't my cup of tea. There's too much cussing in it, and just it just seemed too rambly for me. So I'm gonna put that one down and just take it back to the library. But I mean, story was okay. Okay, so Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, basically it's about the main character named Greg, Earl, his best friend, and then the dying girl, the girl's name is Rachel, and she gets leukemia, and as far as I could tell, she does end up passing away, but the way that he handled it, I didn't like, and the way that the cancer was just portrayed, and just the way, I didn't like the narrator. We'll just put it that way. And the entire book just gave me a weird feeling. So I'm not going to finish that one. I'm sorry. This cover is really cute though. I will give you that. I like this cover. So on to the February to be read list. If you watched my goals and resolutions for 2014, you will know that this book is one of my goals to read this year. And it is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. And I actually was really surprised that it's really small, because I heard that it was really big. But I mean, the print is like this. I mean, it's tiny. But I'm really excited for this because I've seen the movie, I've watched the theatrical version. I love Phantom of the Opera, and I really want to read the book. And I think after I read it, I'm going to film a video of like the theater, like the play versus the movie versus the book, and what I like and don't like about each of them. So I'm excited for that. The book I am currently reading is A Million Suns by Beth Revis. I'm about 80 pages into it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I love this series because I am a huge sci-fi person. I love Star Trek, I love Star Wars, and there aren't many books out there that take place in space. That rhymed. But it's really good, and I love the whole technology thing. It reminds me, it's like a young adult Star Trek for me. It's really nice, and I love this, and I love this cover too. This cover and the galaxy. I really like the premise of the story, and I'm enjoying it. So after I finish A Million Suns, I'm going to pick up the third book in the trilogy Shades of Earth, again by Beth Revis. And I don't understand the cover change. Those covers were beautiful, and then we get this. I mean, it's okay. It's not the greatest, but just look at it. How do you go from this to this? They don't match at all. And I feel really bad for those people who have bought the series as it comes out, because now they have this on their shelves. And the first one matches the second one, but the third one doesn't match at all. Ugh. Another book that I am definitely going to be reading in February is Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. And I absolutely love The Darkest Minds, and I just cannot wait to get into this book, because the ending of The Darkest Minds has me in a frenzy. I'm just like, no, Ruby, how could you? So now we're going to be onto this book, and it's so shiny and perfect and beautiful, and I just can't wait to read. The next book that I'm going to read was recommended to me by my librarian, and she has done nothing but rave about it. And while her trying to get me to get it from the library and read it, she actually ended up in the floor fangirling over it. And we're talking about a librarian here. So this book must be really good. And it is Code Name Verity by Elizabeth Wine. I'm going to say Wine. So Code Name Verity. And I haven't really heard much about the premise. I just know that it's really good. And I do have 2 bookshelves that are pretty small. And I do have like my own selection of books that I own. The thing is that most of them are from when I was younger, and I would buy the books for like $2 at St. McKay's. And so a lot of them are younger books, and I don't tend to buy that many simply because like the young adult books just tend to cost more. And I don't work or anything, so it's not like I have a lot of money. But I found this book at McKay's. It was $5, and I was like, hey, I like this author, so why not get it? It has been on my shelf since about, I think, March of last year, or somewhere in the summer. It has just been on my shelf forever. And much like Katie Tastic did her TBR jar, I'm going to start doing a thing where I pick a book from my shelf that I haven't read, and I read it that month. So, along with my library books. Because I feel like when I get books from the library, because I only have 3 weeks to read them, I feel like I have a priority to read those first. But because I get so many books from the library, I never read the books on my shelf. Because there are so many books that I want to reread, but I just haven't, because I feel like I haven't had the time. So really it's just a problem of I need to check out less books from the library. So my main book that I need to finish and read and just love and enjoy in February is How to Save a Life by Sarah Czar. As you can see, it's kind of messed up right there. I don't know how that happened, but the main thing that caught my eye to this book is I got it before I really was into Sarah Czar, and the thing is, the title, How to Save a Life, basically reminded me of the song How to Save a Life by The Fray, and I absolutely adore that song, and I thought maybe I don't know. For some reason I thought that it might be based off of that song. I don't know what I was thinking. But it's by Sarah Czar, and I already know that I love her. And I read the back, and the synopsis sounded, a little spill, it sounded good. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for February. Obviously, to read 200 books in a year, I have to read about 17 a month. So, right now, Goodreads says I'm one book behind, but that's okay, because I'm totally planning on the summer for me to get ahead and get those 200 books. So I'm very excited about that, and yeah, tell me what you thought about any of these books, complaints, comments, all that stuff. And I'm really excited to read this, and I just want to wave it around. Obviously, I will be reading more than just these books in February. This is just what I have planned for certain. That is all I have for today, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Bye!